Welcome back to the Domin Recap channel. Today, we're going to watch a fantastic horror movie called Itch, so try not to scratch yourself. Jay drags himself out of bed after a rough night of heavy drinking, jolted awake by his father Joe hammering on the front door. Joe has brought Olivia over and drops her off before explaining that his wife is unwell. Jay agrees to cover the store for the day so his father can stay home and look after her. While getting himself ready, Jay keeps clawing at his neck without thinking. His mind drifts to his late wife, whose illness had started with vomiting. She spent a long time in the hospital and the debt from those bills still weighs on him. Olivia, who communicates through a small notebook, scribbles a note saying she wants to visit her mother. Jay tells her gently that it isn't possible today and wishes she would just talk to him out loud. On the drive to school, he asks whether the other kids are still giving her trouble and she gives a quiet nod. He offers to speak with her teacher, but Olivia refuses. Jay encourages her to stand up for herself, though she slips out of the car without really listening. Then Jay notices she left her notebook behind. He flips through it and what he finds shakes him to his core. Page after page of drawings telling her story. The fights between her parents, his drinking, her mother in the hospital, how much she misses her. Images of his wife covered in blood flash suddenly through his head. A school security guard tapping on the car window snaps him back to reality. The man collects the notebook and walks Olivia inside. Jay spends the morning driving around town with a bottle in his hand. The radio crackles with arguments about a spreading skin condition. One caller blames it on refugees while another insists the whole thing is a social media hoax staged for attention. When Jay finally pulls up to the family store, a man named Miguel steps out to confront him, saying Jay owes him money. Jay has no idea what he's talking about but notices that Miguel keeps scratching at his own face. Miguel makes a threat and walks off. Inside, employee Lisa explains that Joe had fired Miguel for stealing. Jay sits in the office surrounded by his late wife's paintings on the walls, lost in memories of her and Olivia painting together. A delivery arrives and Jay opens the street hatch so the boxes can slide directly into the basement. Not long after, a woman stumbles into the store covered in blood, begging for help and insisting something is biting her. She begins scratching herself so violently that she tears her own skin open, screaming that she feels like she is on fire. Jay tries to restrain her but she collapses and vomits blood. Lisa calls the police and when officers arrive, Jay explains what the woman said about the itch. The detective tells him this is not the first case he has seen today. He initially thought it was some kind of social media stunt but has since seen far too many people to doubt it is real. The officers take the woman away and warn Jay to be careful. Joe calls shortly after, having already heard about the incident from Lisa. Jay uses the opportunity to ask about Miguel. Joe explains he caught him stealing, which is why he let him go. When Jay looks out the window he spots another man raking his nails down his face on the street below. He thinks back to a moment with his wife when she made him promise to raise Olivia, as he passes them. His phone rings and a teacher tells him to come pick up Olivia because she bit another child. Jay races to the school. Olivia shuts down completely when he tries to speak to her, covering her ears and humming to block him out. He counts slowly backward from 10 to steady himself and then quietly agrees to take her to the cemetery first. At the grave, Olivia whispers to her mother so softly that Jay cannot make out a single word. On the way back to the store, Olivia begins tearing pages out of her notebook one by one. When she hears sirens approaching, she switches on the car radio to cover the sound. The newsreader reports that violent incidents are multiplying across the city. Hospitals are overwhelmed, flights have been grounded, and rumors of a terror attack are spreading fast. When they arrive at the store, Jay notices that nearly every neighboring shop has already shut its doors early. As closing time approaches, two armed robbers force their way in. They make Lisa lower the security shutters and begin emptying the register. One robber, a woman named Gabriella, forces Jay to take her partner down to the safe. A customer named Henry, hiding behind a shelf, quietly dials the police. In the basement, Jay fumbles with the safe and cannot get it open. Jay pulls down the man's face covering and finds Miguel underneath. He tells him to take whatever cash is available and walk away, swearing he will stay quiet. A gunshot rings out from upstairs. Jay sprints back up to find Olivia safe and quickly presses his emergency locator into her hands before sending her to hide in the basement. He grabs a utility knife from the shelves and moves carefully through the store until he locates Lisa, who has been shot. Gabriella explains that Olivia bit her, startling her into firing. Jay directs Miguel to keep pressure on the wound while he gathers supplies. He packs cotton into the bullet holes and wraps tape tightly around Lisa's torso as a makeshift dressing. A police officer pounds on the shutters from outside. Gabriella and Miguel watch him on the security cameras, arguing about what to do. Without warning, a mob of frenzied people swarms the officer and beats him down. At the same moment, Henry steps out of hiding and plays an emergency alert from his phone. The city has been placed under lockdown due to a spreading illness called the itch. The primary symptom is an uncontrollable urge to scratch, directed at oneself and at others. Gabriella refuses to believe any of it. Jay tries to talk her down, but she levels her weapon at him. Close enough now, Jay disarms her and shoves her toward Miguel. Together, Jay and Henry restrain both robbers to a column with tape and zip ties. Another broadcast announces that all emergency services have been suspended. Anyone observed scratching for more than 10 seconds will be treated as a public threat and dealt with by lethal force. The locator in the basement starts going off. Jay rushes down and finds two people, one tearing the other apart with bare hands. When the frenzied attacker turns on Jay, he shoots her. He spots the street hatch hanging open and understands how they got in. He secures it with a padlock and searches the basement until he finds Olivia crouched in the supply closet. He pulls her out and they head upstairs together. Jay leaves Olivia in the office with the locator. Back in the store, Miguel tells him that Henry has gone upstairs. Jay follows and finds him holding an axe. Jay lets him use the bathroom. While he waits, Jay checks the news on his phone. Some officials are publicly denying the existence of the itch, while ordinary people are posting videos of themselves scratching uncontrollably. Jay tries to reach Joe but gets no answer. Jay and Henry return downstairs and start wondering whether they have already been exposed to whatever is in the basement. Miguel urges them to work together, mentioning that his niece is pregnant. That detail is enough for Jay to free them both. When the group checks on Lisa, she confesses that she was the one who had been stealing, and she apologizes to Miguel. Gunshots erupt outside. The security cameras show police vehicles moving through the streets, shooting infected civilians on sight, including the fallen officer at the door. Henry reads that the itch appears to be caused by a regenerating parasite. Gabriella calls it the work of the devil. Jay suggests they take turns resting and watching over Lisa. Upstairs, Miguel confronts Gabriella over the gun. She reminds him that he promised to look after her when her father died, and he fires back that she is always causing trouble. Alone, Henry stares at a photo of his boyfriend and begins scratching his face before catching himself and counting down from 10. In the office, Olivia worries that Lisa getting shot was somehow her fault. Jay reassures her it was not. When she asks what is happening, he tells her only that people are sick and that he will protect her. When she finally drifts off to sleep, while checking on Lisa, Jay hears something strange outside. The camera feed shows the officer at the door beginning to move. Downstairs, Gabriella tries to sneak away with a hammer, but Miguel stops her before she can act on whatever she is planning. The whole group gathers around the monitor and it becomes clear that the infected bodies in the basement could be next. Henry volunteers to stay with the women while Miguel and Jay go down to check. Only one of the bodies is still there. Jay believes they need to destroy it entirely, but Miguel resists, calling it a desecration. The corpse lurches awake and seizes Miguel's leg. A noise behind them makes them spin around, and the second infected person uses that moment to bolt upstairs. They chase after her only to find that Gabriella has already stopped her with the hammer. They submerge both bodies in tanks and fill them with corrosive chemicals. The smell and the sight of it makes Miguel physically sick. Jay tells him he never truly believed he was a thief. Miguel says it does not matter anymore. Henry appears at the top of the stairs and calls them all up. Lisa is dead. The group holds a small impromptu funeral. Olivia places one of her drawings on the body and Miguel leads a prayer. When Henry goes to move the body, Lisa's hand shoots out and grabs him. Jay pins her down while Henry seizes the cash register and uses it to end things. Jay and Miguel carry her to the chemical tank while Henry goes to the bathroom to clean up. Alone at the basin, he pulls back his sleeve and sees that he has been scratched. When the others ask if he is hurt, he says he is fine. Jay sets up a table with canned food and candles and tries to give everyone a decent meal together. When Olivia needs the bathroom, Gabriella offers to take her. The music cuts out as the phone loses signal. Must remain in quarantine. Henry starts scratching and Jay watches him. Screaming breaks out upstairs. In the bathroom, Miguel and Jay find Gabriella collapsed. Having suffered a miscarriage, she cradles the infant in her arms. Miguel goes to her and realizes she is burning with fever. Henry says it sounds like sepsis and without antibiotics she will not survive. There is a pharmacy close by, but Henry thinks venturing out is suicide. Miguel insists that protecting Gabriella is his responsibility. Miguel takes the gun and slips out through the shutters. Henry collapses against the wall and claws at his body with everything he has. He goes down to the basement bathroom and discovers he is urinating blood. The itch has become more than he can endure and he begins injuring himself trying to relieve it. Jay hears cursing and comes down with an axe. He tries the supply closet door, but a blood-soaked hand holds it shut from inside. Henry tells him he does not want to hurt anyone and asks Jay to lock him in. Jay opens the door. Henry comes out changed and lunges. The axe hits the floor and the two men wrestle across the ground. Henry gets his hands around Jay's throat, then he drops. Olivia had hurled the axe at him. He hears pounding at the shutters. Miguel is back with the medication. Before opening the inner door, Jay demands proof that Miguel is uninjured. Jay opens the door and lets him through. When Miguel finds her dead and understands what Jay did, Jay comes around at that moment and draws the blade across his throat. Later, Olivia wakes up. On a board near the door, Jay has written out a list of daily tasks she will need to follow to survive.